Hello everyone, welcome back to the full stack web development course. So in the previous lectures we have done a lot of features for asking a question as well as displaying the question as well as displaying the answers as well as posting the answer and upvoting as well as downvoting, sharing a particular question, deleting a particular question. So we have done a huge stuffs as of now. So in this lecture we will be looking how to log out because we haven't done logout yet. So we will do how to log out, and then there is another important thing. We have to check the expiry time of that specific token, because if you remember, while dealing with authentication part, we have used JSON web token to generate a token for a specific user. In that particular time, we have given the expiry time as 1 hour. So we have to check 1 hour expiry time in the front end. So that's how we have to deal with that. So first we will do the logout part. So we will go to the code right away and we will open the client src. We will go to the navbar, which is going to be inside components nav.js. So in here we are going to write a logout function for this logout button. So we're just going to say log on click event handler, which is gonna equals to a function called handle logout. So let me copy this. We'll put it in here. Just say const logout, which is gonna be equals to a function which is going to be an arrow function. In here we will dispatch of a type of logout, sorry a type of logout, which is going to be in a string. So these words has to be in capital. So we are just going to dispatch a type of logout, and then after dispatching that we're just going to make the navigate to a single slash, because if we are inside the ask question page after logging out, we have to be inside our home page, or if we inside a tags page or users page, everywhere in the application, if we are anywhere, as soon as we log out, we has to be push them to the home page. So that's why we are just going to navigate. So to use navigate, we're just going to use navigate hook, which is going to be from this React router down. Just going to implement that in here. So after importing that from the React router down, here we're just going to write a const navigate, just gonna be equals to use navigate of. So in here we'll just have an n. So now we have used use navigate to navigate to the home page, and then we're just going to do another dispatch of set current user of null. So what we have done in here, so if you just see, we will go to the reducers to the auth case. In here we just got a auth case, but in here we're just going to write another switch case, which is gonna nothing but have a case of logout. So in here what we're gonna do, if the case equals logout, we're just going to say local storage dot clear. So this function clears the local storage, which just deletes the profile in the local storage which we have set it. So we will just clear that and we will return the so far state, comma, the data is going to be null. We will return this instead of data which equals action dot data, we will return null. So that's what we have done. So in the as soon as I click logout, we are just dispatching that type as logout. So the action is going to be action dot type is going to be logout. So as soon as it is logout, we are just going to clear that local storage, and then we will set the data to null. So as soon as we set the data to null, we have also to set this current user to null, because while logging in, I'm just going to set this current user to the local storage profile value. So I'm just assigning this profile value to this set current user as soon as I'm logging in. So after logging out, I have to set that value to null. So that's what we have done in this particular line. So now we will check that. We will open the inspect element. We will go to the application, and in the application we do have this record. It's nothing but profile, which corresponds to this result. So as soon as I log out, so nothing has been done so far, because let me see our application is running or not. Yes, it has been running. So I think we will just refresh once. So now you can see our profile is still here. Now we will just click logout. So now there is no data in the local storage as well, and there is no logout symbol and the avatar symbol in here. So I can log in with a different email now, kumar@gmail.com, and here the password is also the same. I can just log in. As soon as I log in, you can see here's my avatar becomes K, because the first letter is K of Kumar, and here's a logout button, and you can see here's the data in the local storage. And I can also log out, which is as simple as possible. So now I can just again going to log in as monodes, and the password that I am just going to enter. So now I have been logged in here now. So what's the second thing we are gonna do? We have to check this token's expiry time. We have to check is the token has been expired or not. So where we can check that expiry, which is nothing but, which is gonna be inside in the use effect, because as soon as the profile in the profile we got a token. You can see here is a token. The validity of this token is nothing but 1 hour. If this token exceeds a time of 1 hour, we have to log out the user. That's what is about token based authentication. That's what the main thing which comes to token based authentication. We don't want to let this user to be logged in as much as possible, because if it's like if you go to a browsing center and use a public computer to log in, you forgot to log out and you left that browsing center's computer behind. So if you didn't log out after 1 hour, the data has to be removed from the local storage of that particular browser, or else your account could be misled by anyone else. So for security concern, we have set this token to an expiry of 1 hour. After 1 hour, we have to delete this particular token. So that's what we don't want to delete that. We have to remove this entire thing. We have to log out the particular user. So that's what we are going to do now. So we're going to implement that part of code in the use effect, because this is where we are setting the current user value to a new profile value which is retrieved from the local storage. So this may be the apt space to implement that or check the expiry of the token. So here first let me just declare a variable called token, which is going to equal to user question mark dot token. So if that token, sorry, shit, dot token. So from the user variable, so I'm just going to select the token. So if the token is still alive, if it isn't, if there is a token in this user variable, I'm just going to say const decode token, because we're just going to decode that specific token. So I'm just going to pass the token to a function called a decode. This decode is going to be imported from JWT. So we can just import like import decode from dot slash sorry from JWT dash decode. So just make sure this package has been installed in your React app. So I'm just going to import decode from JWT decode, and I'm just passing the entire token to that function. So if that function is if that token is valid, then this decode might have a value. So we have to check that specific decoder token value. So I'm just going to have a decoder condition of decoder decode token dot exp. Let me just rename this to decoder token, because this token is now being decoded to readable one. So I'm just going to check the expiry, which is going to be multiplied by 1000. So if this entire value is less than new date dot get time, then we're going to implement something. So what I have done in here, so I'm just going to multiply the expiry time of the decoder token by 1000. If that value is less than the present time, which date dot get time gives the actual time at the present second. So if this time is less than this token's expire time in 2000, which means the token has been expired, and we gonna call handle logout function. So we will check the current time with the expiry time. If the expiry time is less than the current time, which means our token has been expired, so we're gonna handle logout and we will just log out the user. So if I leave this web page for almost 1 hour, if I just leave my laptop for 1 hour live, and if I came back after another hour and open this application, my account has to be logged out. This is what makes the complete essence of token based authentication. So now we're gonna look into another thing called middleware. We have already used many middleware in the backend. So here I'm just going to, so now we will close these things. We will go to this API index. In here, what we are gonna do, we're just going to add that token in each request. So this is the place where I am sending request to the backend. Here only I am using Axios. You can see I have used Axios to create the URL and to send a post. So Axios is my API. So I'm just going to use Axios so to send request to the database, to the backend. So while sending that request, I'm just going to do something to that request. I'm just going to add some extra values to that request to increase our code's security. To make our application more secured, we're just going to we're just going to add some values to our Axios request so that we can create a better secured application. So to do that, just going to say API dot interceptors dot request dot use in here, which allows a callback function. We're gonna modify the each and every request. It is gonna modify it to, I'm just going to select the, I'm just going to have a condition. In the condition, if we have a local storage dot get item of profile, if we have something like a profile in the, if we go, we do have a profile, so it is capital P. If we have some profile in the local storage, what we gonna do, we're just going to send request dot headers. So while a request is sent to a backend, we have the data actually present in that request will be inside the body, which we have. If we open any servers controller, if we go to the auth, you can see we have retrieved the name, email, body. Is these things are from the body which contains our data, but there is something called as headers in that particular request. We are just going to modify that header to, we're just going to add a special value to that header to increase our security. We're just going to say request.headers.authorization, which is going to equals to, I'm just going to use backticks because we have to uh, format a string, bearer space json dot parse of local storage dot get item of profile dot token. So we have done something in here. Let me explain again. So what we have done, we have collected the interceptors of every request, and what we have done, in that request, specific request, we are changing the headers to a new value called authorization. If that authorization going to have a string which is just going to have a bearer and a space, and then we just going to have our token. It means we are sending our token, a user's token, for each and every request to the database. So in the database, we are just going to check is that specific token is a valid token or not. If that is a valid token, we're gonna allow that specific action. If I want to post a question, before implementing the logic or before executing the logic of the question to be posted, what I'm gonna do, I'm just going to check the token first. Is that token is valid or not? If it is valid, we're just going to execute that action or controller to post a specific question. So that's what we want to do. So we have set a header with authorization. Now we're just going to go to the backend. We will create something called middleware, and in this middleware we're gonna create something called auth.js. And in this auth.js, here we are just going to write a middleware. In here, we will first import JSON web tokens from JSON web token, and just going to say const auth. Here I'm just going to write a function which is gonna have request comma response comma, we're gonna have a new thing called next, which I will tell what is next. So what we're gonna do, if we receive any request from the client, we're just going to check is that request has a token or not. So that's what next means. And next only we are gonna, first we will check is there any token or not. If there is a token, we will check is it valid or not. If that valid only, we will allow a next function. What this next is, which is nothing but a callback function which allows every controllers to be executed. Now this next is going to be every controllers inside these files. Only if this auth function is satisfied, then these actions are allowed to be taken. So let me do first. We're just going to have a try catch block, and in the try, we're just going to say const token which is going to be equals to request dot headers dot authorization, because which is the same spelling which we have used in the front end. We have used authorization in headers. We're just going to split by a single space, and we are going to select the second one. So what this thing does, so authorization is which is nothing but a string with a first thing as bearer and a space and a token. So we are just going to split that specific, we are just going to split that specific string into two element of arrays by with just a space. So the first element is going to be bearer and the second element is going to be token. We are just going to select that specific token and assign it to a value, and then we're just going to decode that specific token, decode data, which is going to be equals to jwt dot verify of token comma test, which is nothing but the secret which we have given at the time of authentication. If you see in the jwt.sign, in this function we have used some secret which is nothing but test. So this test is our secret, and we are just validating or verifying our token is a valid token or not. Because if a hacker needs, he can set any token and he can send something without logging in. We have to prevent that. We have to allow a valid user only to do contents like posting a question or answering a question. Only a valid user has to do that. So that's why we are verifying that user's token with our secret. In our case, the secret is nothing but the test. So now I'm just going to do request dot user id, which is going to be equals to decode data, which is going to select optionally to id, and then we're just going to call next. So I will explain what this next is about. So what we are doing here, we are setting a new value called user id to this request, and with the decoder data here, we are verifying, which is the major thing is we are verifying that the token is a valid token or not. If this condition fails, it will throw an error, and we will console log that. So Now we will export this function by export default auth. Now where we will be using this auth middleware. So we will go to the routes. In the routes we will go to the questions. In the questions we will import auth from dot slash middleware slash auth.js. We're gonna import it from here. How would we use this auth? We're gonna use it in between. If we want to ask a question, we have to satisfy this condition, which is nothing but a function. So this function, so if a user sends a post request to ask a question or post a question, this function will be first executed, which checks the validity of the token. If this fails, it won't allow to perform this ask question. But if this is true, if this is success, then our next is called. Next is nothing but, in this case, which is nothing but this ask question is nothing but the next function in this post request. So that's how we can use this auth middleware. So we don't want to implement that to the get, because if he is an unauthenticated user, he has the right to see all the questions available in our application. We don't want to restrict that, so that's why we are not going to use auth as a middleware for get function, but for deleting as well as voting we will use auth as a middleware. So, and not only for questions, we will also use it for answers. Sorry, I have to open this routes. In here also we will import auth from dot slash middleware slash auth dot js, and then we will use this auth as middleware in here, and that's it. We have done. So now we have improved our security of our application. This is how we can improve our security. So now our application is a lot more secure by doing in this way. So that's all guys for this particular video. Here we have discussed about a lot more about security purpose, as well as we have already discussed about logout in this lecture. So in the next lecture we will discuss how to sorry we will discuss how to write the tags and users page. Thank you.